Hi, I'm Ronnie Babaycon, and I've been in tea from 1973, working from Assam company that's Macmillan Berry in the beginning. Uh, Thereafter, chief executive of Assam company, of Octavius and Grubb, and finally at Andrew Yule for privatization and turnaround. After my retirement in 2009, I went as the executive director to Kilkotagiri Tea and Coffee in Kannur and to Tirumbari Rubber in Kerala near Mukham. Uh, I have in 2013 been a local coordinator with IDH, a Dutch not-for-profit organization, along who actually started this tea sustainability program now into its independent foundation called the Trustee Foundation. I also work as an advisor with Wag Bakri, one of the largest private-owned uh, tea packers in the country. Talking about the present scenario of tea, we've had a good run with a bad COVID situation as well as floods and climate change problems. So I've been asked by Barbara to, so give some sort of an insight into what tea today is and what it should be in future. So starting off, I can only say the pressure on land is an outcome of policy which condemns most people to marginal farming. India needs a different set of solutions for agriculture and for those working the land. Jobs aside, India needs to shift from basic farming to a more efficient, sustainable, and productive farming. Unfortunately, today, agriculture policies fail to recognize how crop choices, input costs, and supply chains are intertwined, perpetuating marginal farming. Moreover, growing more food isn't the solution to providing employment. There is enough food, especially considering the calories as opposed to the micronutrients you consume. Exports are possible but require extensive value addition, and it is not clear how much of this would benefit the farmer as opposed to the processor or the trader. Fundamentally, India must figure out a way to provide meaningful employment to its hundreds of millions of people outside agriculture. Failing to do so means not just a failure of human development, it represents a political, if not a social, powder keg. Unemployment and dissatisfied youth are a national security threat. Becoming a fodder for radicalization, a life of crime, or worse. Agriculture is dying, okay, not so in the production of food, but as a desirable profession. For all the romanticized portrayals of farming and a rural lifestyle, it is really a thankless, risky, and even backbreaking job, especially as undertaken by the masses, which is subsistent agriculture today. One bad yield, whether due to errant rains, pests, etc., and most farmers have no buffer available. This also makes farmers risk averse with an implicit cost of capital some 50 to 100%, which is essentially one season or more of the horizon. Most are not able to undertake the long term investments, innovations, or major change. The clear indicator of the problems of agriculture as a profession, including agriculture as tea, is how there are actually shortfalls of labor in some areas, while large farms relying on imported farm laborers drawn from neighboring states but from also far ends of the country, especially the northeast, and even Nepal. Younger generations do not want to follow their parents' footsteps into agriculture, which pushes urbanization. Unfortunately, urban areas, while offering more opportunities, relegate many of these people from the rural areas to low end jobs. So is also applicable this is also applicable to the tea industry today, with 50% of the production of tea coming from small growers. So tea is basically an agriculture product, but romanticized as an industry in the past during the colonial days, and the same pattern continues even today. It needs to change. So let's ask questions and answer them. What about market and price of tea? Firstly, we are confused. Should we send out teas to the auction or sell it privately? Or both? Are we marketing our produce or just disposing it? So that we get working capital on a weekly basis for wages and inputs? Answer is cash and carry or auctions are, in my opinion, the best option to ensure a steady cash flow. Estates and factories must have an escrow of working capital for 4 months to bridge the variance of markets and the very real climate change impacts on the production and quality. Tea is the cheapest beverage after water. Another statement. I just can't help being astonished that the tea industry continues to claim tea as being the cheapest beverage. Have we not learned from the much touted cheapest car promotion for the Tata Nano? A beautiful concept, no doubt. But the Indian masses were not happy owning and driving a cheap car. The same psychic is true for tea. But it's only applicable for tea sold from the factory. One, it is related to sell 100% margin for the packer and the middleman. Well, sorry. Well, 2020 and Corona 19 has showed that even in tough economic times, a consumer is happy to pay a higher price and a reasonable retail price for his or her kappa. The correction currently in the price being done is on the factory gate, and prices of such nature should continue. Currently, North India prices at 240 rupees is for the lowest price tree as an average. And this should hold good for the next 5 years and be the benchmark. We will lose exports if prices remain high, some people complain. Compared to CTC teas in Africa and Vietnam and Indonesia, which are cheaper. My answer is no. Good Assam, Darjeeling and Nilgiri teas, orthodox, command a premium because of its unique character and taste. We need to ensure consistent quality and an assured quantity for our overseas clients. The industry, unions, and political parties in the tea growing states must be mature to ensure no disruptions occur like happened in Darjeeling in 2018, with the governments ensuring long-term export subsidy and promotion incentives that would encourage foreign buyers and the tea producers to ensure consistency and continuity of quality and the product. Darjeeling lost out because of those prolonged strikes, which couldn't be curbed in time. But this should not happen. There has to be some sort of a understanding with the government and the industry. There are a number of adverse reports by news channels, domestic and international, and civil societies on poor social housing facilities and wages being given in large number of established estates and factories, particularly in Assam. First of all, as mentioned earlier, a factory does not know what his minimum price or base price he will receive. Last 5 years, 80% of the estate factories received on an annual average a price below their cost of production. And this cannot continue. PLA is an outdated Jurassic Act that needs to be updated or removed totally. This has been going on about restructuring this act with the industry and the government for over 15 years, even has similar recommendations spouted by the UNICEF and other international bodies. The housing grants currently applicable by the Pradhan Mantri scheme and by government and state governments, central governments and state governments, for housing, toilets, water supply should be given to the estates also. Aren't the tea estates and the workers part of India and its constitution? PLA, as I said, is Jurassic. You have to involve the tea industry and its workers into the subsidies and the provisions of the government grants that are given to a normal citizen of this country. Tea should not be excluded just because of its PLA. Then why this denial? I ask. And how long is it going to be there? I think there has to be a proper lobbying from the industry associations and the plantation associations. Otherwise, they're not going to get any reprieve or justice. The government should ask for an NOC, this is my opinion, from the estate owners and not from the individual workers as has been asked for today, to build the infrastructure, a better infrastructure, a newer infrastructure of housing, water supply, and toilets and latrines, so that the burden of such infrastructure activity does not fall onto the estate owners and impinge on the costs. The maintenance and the running, in my opinion, should then, for 10 years, or it can be decided by the associations and the government, be borne by the estates. And thereafter, after 10 years, the government should again give another grant for maintenance of each and every of these infrastructures to the estates or directly through contractual workers for these infrastructure activities on the estates. Only then will the estate be able to enhance the cash wage that everybody's been talking about in North India to the natural minimum wage levels, what is happening also in South India. It's not only the labor housing that we are talking about, it should be the staff quarters, which are also very, very old, depleted. You're not going to get good staff into the estates if they are going to have deplorable living accommodation, because there are Coal India, Oil India, and other organizations which are providing much better housing facilities to staff and executives. Executives, of course, are now can be considered last of all, but most of them have got very palatial houses, and that's fine for a person who's living so far out and remote. But of course, The first priorities is other workers' colonies and infrastructure for them. And that cannot be borne only by the estate itself. It has to be falling onto government schemes which are already prevalent here all throughout the country.